Hello all, this is Zorch, and welcome to an episode of Spice Engineers. Today, what I would like to show you is the mech I have designed and built. But before we get to the pretty orange thing over there, let's take a look at the hoops I had to go through to design this. So the basic idea behind the mech is it's got two legs, as you can see here very clearly. It's got two legs, and one of them will lock in place while the other one rotates. The locked leg will rotate, the rotor on it will rotate, moving the entire body around, and through that it'll take steps one at a time. I'll demonstrate that properly when we get to the finished product. So this was the original design. I had wanted to have toes that could flex so it could work on uneven terrain. I eventually found that it's not really that viable, and this bit here was originally just for designing the legs. Then we move on to this one, which finally has a torso, and it's connected by the single router, so it has horizontal traverse, which is pretty cool. I changed feet design at this point too. I added even more toes in a. See, this one was it was supposed to have a front toe, back toe sort of thing. But with the rotation, front and back stopped really mattering. So it's a symmetrical foot here. A little bit more artificial mass to keep it on the ground. Of course, this only works where there is gravity. And all of these are off right now because I won't be demonstrating them till the final one. Alright, so this one again has adjustable toes. Eventually, I got rid of that design and moved on to this design, which had just fixed toes. Again, symmetrical foot, more or less. The pistons are for extending and taking steps, so you can hop over obstacles if there aren't any. I also added, at this point, the idea of jump jets to allow the mech to jump very briefly, not too high so it doesn't damage itself. And adding these kind of things, they required a bit more control. So at each iteration, it seems like I added more timing blocks. And timing blocks I use just because they have a whole bunch of actions you can do with a single mouse click or button number click. You might also notice that there are lights on the back of these mechs. And the lights are actually to indicate the direction of travel, because you can reverse, you can go forward and back, and green means go, red means reverse, not stop for some reason. Okay. So once I finally got this, I wanted to add vertical traverse, because I was finding it was really awful to try and shoot things when you couldn't look up and down. I had originally had a design, unfortunately I lost that blueprint, that put the vertical traverse here on the legs, and it took me an hour and a half to get everything attached and make it all work. And then I found that when the mech stepped, the feet would drag, and it just was awful. So I switched to this design, which has the vertical traverse here on the torso, which this works like a charm. It's pretty awesome. By this point, actually I have it a couple designs back, but I've got most of the internals for the torso done, a couple gyroscopes, large reactor in order to power the feet. There's also backup reactors with consoles in case anything gets separated on the legs. So after this point, the next point was I tried armoring it up a bit. It's very difficult to armor the legs because they move up and down, so you don't want anything running into each other, and of course you have to account for the rotation. In arming them, I also moved the jump jets to the center and added more because the mech had gotten a lot heavier by this point, so it was a bit more difficult to move it around. I also added this this big wheel, this big inner tube in the middle, and that is to protect the. Oh, turned off my jetpacks there. That is to protect the single rotor that's connecting the legs to the torso, because if that gets shut off, then the whole thing's useless. Also added armor around these rotors, the vertical traverse ones, and just smoothed everything out. I also added, whatchamacallums, rockets, fixed rockets, and armored everything, trying to make it look at least decent. So it's kind of a Cyclops, has a face. I'll get to. I've named my mech the Zacafract, which is from the Cataphract in Mech Warrior. It looks nothing like the Cataphract, though. That was my favorite. That was my favorite mech in Mech Warrior. Okay, so the next iteration, I added arms. These are pretty basic arms, multiple Gatling guns. They have gyroscopes in case anyone figures out how to just control the arms independently. Right now, arm control is a little tedious, but it works, and you don't need a buddy to pilot it. But yeah, so this is more or less the final product at this point. The only changes I made after that were to add color. So here it is, the final version of the Zacafract. As you can see, there's color. It's got yellow and black here to indicate hazards and pinch points. It's an OSHA compliant mech. I also added a camera on the front because visibility is pretty limited inside of the mech. So the camera doesn't help much, but in theory it could help. So now I guess I'll demonstrate the actual working of the mech. So you hop in through the front here. And controlling the traverse is as simple as just moving, because it operates via the gyroscopes. So up and down and traverse. I've limited traverse to, I think, 120 degrees horizontally. Just because it could run full circle, but then it gets a little difficult to control. And I think there's about 30 degrees of total vertical traverse. It has a bunch of built-in controls using the timer blocks. So 1 and 2 are left and right legs respectively. 3 is reversing the direction. So as you can see, it flips the lights as well. And I also have the guns on this tab because this is where I felt like putting them. So let's take a step. Let's go forward first of all. Okay. Right leg. So you press 2, and it rotates into position and locks down. I'll demonstrate, there are sensors on the feet that detect both asteroids and stations, and all sorts, friendly, whatever. And once it is within range, it locks the feet down. So that's how that bit works. Now, there's a couple kind of advanced controls, like if you can press the button again once it's coming down to continue the same step. If you double tap, there'll be a bit of a delay because of the timers and how they work, but then it'll just keep rotating, and then you can double tap again to plant it about 2 seconds after you press the button. Let's see here. We actually want to take that step back. So again, and you can also reverse while it's moving, which works out pretty well. Okay, oh, I forgot I was still reversing. So let's go back forward. I want to straighten myself out up there. Okay, it also has some more advanced controls in the second tab. So switch lock on the landing gear, so you can lock and unlock if you happen to need that. You can lower the left and right legs, which works best if you lower them together. It would more help if you were on uneven surfaces, and now it looks really stubby. 6 is to turn on the thrusters for the jump jets, and they'll just always be on. 5 is the timer that turns off the artificial mass. It's really not that much of a jump, I have to say. Oops. But it is a jump. You could easily add thrusters as needed. Oops. I don't know what double tapping will do. Oh, I'm pretty high now. Okay, we didn't explode, so that's good. So you could easily manually control the jump if you needed. Okay, and then in tab 4, because no one loves tab 3, is the arm controls, which as you can see, there's a lot. I have the beacon in the middle just to separate things out from left and right. So the first two in each section are the shoulder, and it's... Ooh, I accidentally fired a missile. Okay, so you can turn it on, and it'll rotate back a bit. You can reverse it. It rotates much... I think there's a total of 120 degrees of traverse in the shoulders. And then, yeah, you just turn it off when you're done. The next set of two is the elbow, which has 70 degrees of traverse, I believe. So yeah, you can also speed this up in the control panel if you want, and the other arm works the same way. It's just on the other side. Okay, so I have set up a small obstacle course in front of me here. So I'll demonstrate. I pretty much demonstrated how it moves, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, we'll just demonstrate again. Ooh, I hopped out. That was an accident. There we go. Let's do full rotation on that left leg, and we'll try to plant it once we. The thing about the legs is that the single click doesn't move very fast, but once it gets up to momentum. The problem being that the mech weighs 45 tons, which, all things considered, is actually a pretty light mech. Oh, I over-rotated that one. That's okay, I needed to avoid the obstacle. Ooh, jeez, that went really far. I need to step back. Yeah, so we'll get to the end, and once we get around here, I'll demonstrate the firepower of the mech. Oops, I forgot what I was doing. See, it has a lot of momentum to it, which, that's okay. It just takes a bit to slow it down. There we go. And then we'll step around this one. Once we get around this obstacle here. Okay. So, for armaments, we've got 2 Gatling guns in the torso and 4 missile launchers also in the torso, and those are all fixed. You can, however, move the Gatling guns in the arms. So let's change my view. So like I said, the view is pretty awful. So if we go to camera here, this is a slightly, like you've got a full field of view this way. The mech is pretty heavy. So what I like to do is, okay, so 4 is just controlling all the Gatling guns at once. 6, 7, and 8 turn the Gatling guns on. So you can aim, of course, with the traverse there. Something I like to do, though, is control the Gatling gun. And then I can... Let's see here. Okay. Well, let's just do some target practice here. Let's see. Let's turn the right elbow out. Or bring it in, I should say. And we're firing. So it has a decent amount of firepower. It can take out a whole bunch of ones. I am missing horribly. So yeah, things are... The control is a little bit... It's unfortunately not the best, which makes me a little sad. But there's not actually that much I can do. But you can see that you can move the arms pretty reliably. In any case, that is the mech, the Zakafract, that I designed. I had lots of fun building it. I'm really happy. It's just fun walking it along. I'm going to put it up on the Steam Workshop, so you can download it and play with it if you want. If you wanted to have mech battles, you can totally try design your own. So, let me know what you think. I would love to try and improve that. If anyone has any ideas for making the control of the arms a bit less awful, I would definitely be open to that. In any case,
thank you for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe to let me know how you felt, and if you'd like to see more from me, click on any of the links you see here. I hope you have a good one.